Okay, so Josh has kindly agreed to come back and give me a portfolio review. So hello, Josh.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
So where would you like me to start?
I think we'll just start on the
Yeah.
material,
Yep. Okay.
the stone thing, the trim sheet.
So this is my most recent post. This is a trim sheet that I've worked on. This is my first ever trim sheet. Not done a trim sheet before. I wanted to work through the full pipeline. So sculpting, UVs, material, and then applying it to um, like structures and engine. Um, So yeah, I'll flick through and you can kind of tell me what you think as we go.
Yeah, I mean, as a trim sheet, obviously you've got renders and kind of your breakdown of how you've done things. It does work. It reads really well. Yeah, just keep going down through your maps. Um,
Yeah,
so you
it's
can
not too
clearly,
long.
yeah, so you can clearly see how you've done it. And kind of what you've used. We can tell you've got your different texture maps. You've got your high poly. I think I saw a ZBrush in there.
Yes.
Um, it would be nice probably to see it also used in Engine. I think you've got what's the top one? Is it a Marmoset toolbag
Uh,
render at the
yeah,
top?
that's a marmoset render. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it stands out enough. I think that maybe you could push the presentation
Hmm.
just because I just think maybe you could get some light into maybe show some bits off a little bit more. I am seeing this on stream, but to see more of the interest from the roughness, and I think if you went for somewhat maybe a slightly darker background, you could then get more of a rim light going on to kind of highlight the edges and just light it a little bit more interestingly. Um, but yeah, I think the stone reads well. Uh,
Okay.
I think the color variation, I'd have to see it again in engine, but it reads a stone. You've got interest. There's nothing there that shouts repetition or super obvious. You've got a bit of material layering. But yeah, like I can't see any horrible seams or repetition. So I think as a trim, you've nailed the idea of it. I think there'll be things you'll talk about in an interview. They'll be saying, what kind of plan was the trim sheet for? Is it for certain objects? Is it for like a kind of a certain area in the map? What kind of pixel density plan have you got? That kind of stuff. And then you'll talk about the use case, why they say you planned it, what bits are being used where, just to kind of show its versatility as a tool. But yeah, it's obviously a really optimized way of texturing assets fairly quickly,
Yeah.
and just having one material set being used. If you've got loads of objects using this, you're saving a lot of memory, and so that's really good if loads of assets can use it.
Yeah. Yeah. So quite important for as a tool for like an environment artist just starting out. So yeah, like in summary, bit more presentation. Make sure that I'm kind of showing off some of the detail from the maps, and play with the lighting a bit more, and also apply it to some actual assets in Engine. Is what I'm getting from all that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. I'll go on to my other one. So this was my year two work. This is a year two environment I did at university. This is a Red Dead Redemption 2 inspired bar scene, Valentine bar in one of the main player hubs. So I'll just kind of rattle through, and you can let me know your thoughts as we go, or tell me to stop at any time.
Yeah, I'll let you pan through, and then I think we'll start from the top.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Right. Okay. Yes, we'll start from the top. I think you've got the theme there, and you've got areas of interest. We always, kind of think about whether the characters should be in or not.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to, I think, for me, see the scene without the characters,
Hmm.
um, just because I think that they can be distracting. But no, as a scene, I can see the theme. Um, and you've got some form of interest. You've got a decent amount of set dressing. There are things I would definitely do to like improve certain aspects. Like you've got your material of wood, and I think that it's used everywhere, and that's fine for being cohesive. But I think it's the same sort of color
Yeah.
everywhere, and I think that kind of it makes the other things pop out a lot. But it's quite contrasty having that brown, and then you'll see that green on your tables. Um, but other than that, I think you've got a lot of like hard man-made objects, which obviously most of it would be, but you don't have any I guess like softer organic shapes. I don't know what year this would be in and what they would have to be honest. But you might have maybe some kind of coverings or curtains or fabrics near the curtains to just soften all this hard,
Yeah.
like shape language and stuff like that. I do like. I notice it in the bottom left. You've got a little bit of storytelling narrative with the chain October. You can see that really nice roughness variation on the planks or wooden boards, which is really cool. And then certain objects, I guess I'd say the bar and then the table on the left, you got some kind of grounding with the shadows. That comes across a little bit inconsistent in places. There's a shot I'll explain when we get to it. But yeah, you've got from what I would say, you've got I think decal grunge on like the wallpaper. You've got decent theme language. You've got some nice model shapes. Like the bar isn't it's not the hardest thing in the world to model, but it's not the easiest. There's some nice intricate shapes going on, and there's elements storytelling. So yeah, I think it works as a bar, and it seems that obviously, if there's any LD considerations, like width of stairs, obviously it's different in real life still to a game. You want them to be very, very close, but if you want there might be a game consideration where you want two characters to always be able to go up the stairs and down. So if you've got them wider, that's fine. But yeah, as a general kind of shot, I think it's fine, and the lighting's enough. I think that you could play with the lighting a bit more, maybe get some more contrast in places. But yeah, no, I think that's all right for showing the theme, the idea, and getting some like skill sets and techniques shown off.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, yeah, I mean this is a good one. You've got like you can see that detail on the bar, that like intricate little. I don't know if it's engravings or like carving kind of stuff, but it's quite nice. Um, it'd be nice to know your, again, planning on what you kind of what's trimmed, or what your tile and materials are in terms of what textile density you went for. That'd be something again you'd be best going over in your like interviews and stuff like that. And there may be some changes, like something at the back of the bar with like an obvious wood grain, and it just looks maybe a bit bigger than I would expect behind the glasses. So I'd maybe be checking a few things like that. But again, it reads as a bar, and there's narrative and dress in there. So that's fine. I would just keep going down. There's something I did notice. Oh, that's another one. Sorry, go back up. Yeah, it's got interesting composition. It might not be the most. Might not be a key point of interest, but you've got I think depth of field going on there with a little bit of like blur on the foreground, but you can see down. So it's an interesting shot for the framing alone. I think you could do more with this. I think you could have something maybe near the door, or some more things on the shelves there, just to make it seem like it is a bit more of a planned shot that that you had in the back of your mind, like where's the till or something like that. Where's maybe a bottle cap opener, just a little bit more things like that to add to the scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is I'm sorry. That's a bit of corny. Maybe you could use more of these barrels. If this is the first time I'm really seeing them, you might be able to get away and use them a bit more and add variation. You don't have to do a whole new asset. You could have got a barrel with um, different, I guess, brands on.
Hmm.
You know, not maybe not real life brands, but fictional, and then just be optimized and be smart, and maybe do an atlas with different brands on,
Yeah.
and then just put different stuff on, maybe different color tint in your shader, just to make it look like you've made more barrels without too much repetition, but also not a complete remodel or retexture, just to save time, but get value out of your props, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think some material instancing would have benefited here. Could have done it on the bottles and just all the general kind of props, especially things like the barrels. Yeah, you could have definitely pushed those a bit further.
I've not got much to say in this one. It's very similar to the other shot.
Yeah, just take out the characters.
Yeah, again, it'd be nice to see it probably without the characters. This one is a good example of the Wild West whiskey box
Hmm.
looking like it looks a little floaty.
Okay.
You look at the lamp and it looks like there's a shadow underneath and it's grounded and
Yeah.
it looks like it's there. Then the Wild West whiskey box, where's like the occlusion or
Yeah.
the what is it, global illumination, it feels a little superimposed.
Hmm.
So maybe that's because it's just the placement isn't right, or there's light that's kind of breaking that illusion, or you've got
Yeah.
some settings to do for your like occlusion in places. But yeah, stuff like that really kind of sells it because it just looks, not quite realistic or grounded, just a little too floaty. That's all.
Okay.
That's quite a nice shot. I think it definitely should have lost the character for this one.
Okay.
This, yeah, you've got interest there. Maybe that light is a little strong thinking about it because it doesn't bring in any of the wood color. It's just white. It's not like, oh, that's a bright light. It's just white. It's not bright. It's white. So I think that um, you're just seeing this white, harsh kind of square or rectangles almost. So I think playing with your light settings and again, if it's probably that bright, whereas I guess you could have had interest with your God rays or light rays, something like that always looks quite cinematic and visual. Um, I don't know if there's fog going on, but getting some like volumetric or exponential fog and trying to capture them rays might look really, really nice. And then again, if you had some shutters or some cloth kind of curtains or whatever they had in bars in that time, would have just kind of sold it because it just obviously it just looks like a window,
Hmm.
which is fine, obviously deadlines and timescales, but you could have had um, interesting shadows. Maybe one side was covered with a shutter or a curtain, and the other side was completely open.
Hmm.
So you'd have a really unique shadow, and at every single window you could change that setup if it was like modular, like one on you could always put one side a shutter, one side a curtain, not both on the same window, but you could play around with a curtain and shutter set and change the angle on them all and maybe have some completely closed, some open, some one side, some ajar, whatever, because you'll just get a lot more out of your kit. It won't look repetitive and it'll add interest and it helps narratively because in the real world you will have something at your window. So yeah, it just helps with the lighting, the repetition, the variation sort of thing.
Yeah, I think this piece especially was one of those examples you were saying about you'd submitted it for the assignment brief and not actually kind of continued on with it. It was just whenever it's done for the assignment, it's then done and put to the side. So it's not necessarily like as fully finished and fully formed as it could be. Which I think, yeah, this comes back to you saying it's one of those mistakes that junior artists make.
No, it's fine. It's one of them learning curve
Mm.
sort of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you for that, Josh. That is all valuable insight on my portfolio. So yeah, thank you for that. Hello again. So Josh has agreed to come back for a final time to have a look at my current FMP scene. This is due at the end of May, so he's going to give some valuable insight to see how I can really push this and make this as good as it can be before the final deadline. So, what would you like to see, Josh? Where would you like to start?
I think we can start here.
Yeah.
So I think I've seen a few little shots list before,
Hmm.
but yeah, this is fine. I think here we've got yeah, some nice lighting. I can see obviously got work in
Yeah.
progress, textured materials. That's not a problem. How many weeks have you got left on this?
This is about 4 more weeks to go on this.
Okay, yeah, so that's fine. You've got time. Things are still work in progress. The I guess the whole point here is when you're doing a project, any projects, but especially at uni, you have to, I guess, fight your battles for your time. But I think you're probably in the right spot. You've got what it looks like, everything, the fundamentals, the components, the kind of block out. I don't mean pure block out, but you've got everything in that I think you need to be in. Um, the core things. So you've got obviously the good old corridor shot.
Yeah.
You've got your lights. You've got materials that looks like the trim sheet as well, if I'm
This
correct.
is the trim sheet I use for
Um,
my portfolio. Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so I mean this reads really well. The lighting, the shadow, I mean, compared to your bar scene, I was seeing these shadows and like the cavity and the stone and like the kind of normal work, like the normal map or normal details, really kind of sell the texture and material definition. The silhouette of the vases can really work, and I think that's the beauty of having like your more square shapes and your more curved shapes. And I think people forget this. It's not just a shape, but it really sells lighting. If you had more square vases, right, you
Yeah.
won't be getting that like soft kind of lighting shape that goes on that right vase, for example. It's just different. It's just different shapes because your shapes obviously affect and influence your shadows. So that's really nice to see. The warmth is really good as well. Your chains, I am noticing, even on stream, they've got a bit of movement or wind, which is always good. It makes it feel a little bit more not stiff or rigid, a little bit more, I guess, lively, real world, lived in sort of thing. I think my only argument with them is they all seem. I know you've played with them a little bit in terms of height or placed them up and down. They are very samey,
Yeah.
which it would be a quick win to maybe cut one in half and maybe have a shorter one, maybe have a longer one, maybe have one that kind of not curves but kind of has a different shape or has a knot in it or whatever. I know it's all time based. You'll pick your battles, but maybe some on the floor coiled. That could be a quick win.
Yeah, attached to like
Um,
two different points as well. I
but
was thinking about kind of having them either stretched across the length of the corridor, or in two different points on the ceiling would be could be good.
yeah, I think they're all lit as well. Obviously, you could have some that are darker to get that kind of silhouette shape. But yeah, I mean, this is solid. I don't think there's much more to say. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, get some fog that maybe comes up on the sides. That's low to the ground, but then comes up in the corners where like fog kind of collects. But let's have a look at this.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
popping it
strong,
up further.
strong compositional piece. So obviously, I do like corridors. They're very easy in terms of they help you kind of do everything you need to do, and you seem to be nailing it. You've got the door. To me, is the kind of the focal point, kind of the point of interest. It tells you where kind of your camera should be looking. Obviously, you could have a central shot to the door that's dead on and have it as a central, or you can have like a rule of thirds and have your door, and then it looks like you're going to have light god rays coming in. And obviously it's an interesting angle as well, having it off center and having rule of thirds and getting it all lined up. Um, but yeah, I can tell from back from the other place, and this you could easily look down the corridor, see the door, understand that this is the kind of piece that you're going to be looking at. If we go back further forward, we can see that obviously the light is going to be a big interest as well. You've got asymmetry, which is great. Just go a little bit more right. You've got a cleanish or at least a non-damaged wall on your left, and then damage on the right, which it obviously looks quite good for me. You don't always need to be up close to something, but from here it reads well,
Yeah.
and it silhouettes differently. You've got damage, and we can clearly see the shape, and it's not so uniform, and it looks like natural kind of damage. If this is where your establishing shot's going to be, then it works really well. Again, you've got things untextured like your stairs or your step stairs or whatever, that's fine. Again, it's leading you up. I'm sure they'll have a similar stony look or material. And I think because you've got this nice variation on your floor with the cavities, you're going to want something similar.
Hmm.
You want, I guess, you're not going to want a clean step all the way along. You're going to want some like height variation or
Yeah.
some loose geometry steps just to kind of sell that a few are loose and they're not so uniform and that kind of thing. Again, though, get some fog in here, um, and then just more dressing. I think I notice it more. We're really close to the left here, so we might want some fidelity, or maybe move the camera more to the right because we're close to that pillar and there's not that much interest going on. Oh, this is good. This is quite good because I'm noticing it on both the left and the right. So on the sides where your steps. So if you just run your mouse on the mid platform below the top step, but above the first, this kind of platform. If you run it to the wall on the right, yes, you've got this line. It's a transitional line from the wall to the floor or the wall to the steps. It's very straight.
Okay.
So this is where you'll want you kind of dressing to break up this
Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
line. You could have, depending on the narrative or the biome or where this place is set, even if it is fiction, does it have I'm going to doubt snow, but maybe it's near a desert, or is the sand blowing in, or is there a lot of dust, and you can have build up. And again, you could have more vases. You don't want to overdo something where it's repetitive, but you could have assets, props, just things, maybe foliage, to just break up these edges. I think we pretty much call them termination lines.
Okay.
So you don't want to see this harsh, just like 90-degree you need to kind of break that up. It doesn't, not all of it has to be broken up. You don't have to get everything at every single point along that line covered up, because then it just looks silly. But you need to kind of break it up in places so that it just doesn't look so placed and superficial and fake.
So
You want to have things that would be naturally fall in there or placed there and just break it up.
yeah. Okay. Good. So last kind of little bit. Got this is my last shot. Got my door. Got my open doorway here. Shows more of the floor as well. Some of the substance designer work I've done. Um, so yeah. Any thoughts on this kind of this area at the end here?
I think we should just line the camera up so it's central. I want to see this kind of a bit more centrally. Yeah, so you've got your kind of the door. It does have of interest. You've got it, slightly open, light coming through. There's obviously loads of different ways you can deal with that.
Yeah.
You could have, something behind it, and a sneak peek of an object or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think it works. I think some people do doors shut, some people do doors fully open. And then obviously the ajar one is probably the most interesting. Having a door shut's fine, but it completely kills any, I guess, interactivity or the idea of having light coming through and something behind, which plays into like a theme of what's behind that door. Fully open can be an issue, obviously, because you might have to then actually put things behind and add more to work. And so I think it's quite smart to have it like this. I think you need to play around with the light
Yep. Okay.
and maybe just get something to not block it, but you could have something to help, behind the door that plays with a shadow or silhouette or breaks that light up maybe a little bit.
It's quite
But
hard
I
to
think
do,
that,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, I think that's something for you to decide. And I think maybe the light in here, it's not. I guess it's kind of flat, but it's not. I think when we look at this light coming through, it's kind of uniform, and that's I think that's fine. But I think your god rays are quite interesting. I think you need to play around with the contrast a little bit more. I think getting a bit more darkness behind the door, but with some light kind of coming through, would be better than this
Yeah.
kind of flat lighting with a strong light coming through. I think you've got some ways to kind of play around with that. Look back at your ref. play around with just some levels or post processing. You want to be quick just to visualize, check other people's door work or door lighting on different projects to just kind of learn and see maybe what they've done. Obviously, there's loads of good examples. I'm sure I've seen some myself, but just see how they kind of combated that issue with their art solution. But yeah, I think it works really well. I mean, even the wood's shape's quite interesting. It looks like it's obviously snapped off, and yeah, okay, sure, there could be some things you could do up close to that wood. But again, if you've told me your establishing shot is not quite there, then honestly, it's fine. There's something we do obviously in the industry that you'll get something to like 80-90% and it's like, sort of pretty much done. You can sign it off, or it's done, you're going to do another pass or whatever. But one of the cool things for I guess this kind of stuff, this isn't sci-fi. Things back then, made with wood, made by hand, crafted. None of this would be perfect. So, there's something called like a wonk pass. So you'll model it, you'll unwrap it, you'll texture it, but then you might go around just moving verts a little bit, randomly moving like edges a little bit. You don't want to break the normal shading or anything, but you don't want to mess up your textures. But there's things you can do where you can move things just to add a little bit of bends and wonkiness and imperfections, and you'll realise that when it's not so straight or not so perfect, it just looks a bit better. Yes, you will sometimes have to add some more geometry to create that, but that I think for most things it's worth the addition of the extra geometry. And again, if a shape is different, it will affect and influence the shadows and lighting. And it's really quite apparent that even subtle changes just make quite a difference. So I think, I think there's definitely some like wonk kind of passes that could be done with that. Obviously, you got to be careful with that stuff on modular kits because you need to make sure it doesn't break up that snapping. But for anything like this, 100%, I'd be saying let's just kind of quirk it up a bit, make it not perfect. But yeah, honestly, I think it's really good. If you just go back, Nick, you've obviously got decent composition. You've got a solid start with your lighting. Your material definition's pretty good. The wind and movement really helps sell things. The themes there. I think you just need a bit more set dressing, especially in the opening section of the corridor. You need to get some stuff to kind of break up these termination lines at the edges. Maybe some more softer things you could do. You could potentially have not a rug, but you know what I mean, like a runner, like I don't know what you call them now, but like a fabric cloth that goes along the floor. That kind of thing. And then just play with the lighting, play with the contrast, play with your post process. But yeah, it's pretty good. And again, there's some nice modelling showcase there. You got your trim sheet, you got your modelling skill set. These pillars look nice. I imagine these are modular. Just looking at them, you've kind of used that as a kit. And then again, the damage is a bit more modelling. Skill and getting that damage in to kind of just show that it's not also perfect, but it adds interest again. So yeah, it's really good. It's for another 4 more weeks, pick your battles, do them kind of things, and just play around with it. And obviously another one is just add decal pass. Get some variation, get your gradients. Dirt collects. And then you'll have that kind of darker colours at the bottom or something like that, or whatever. And that might be a way to also introduce a little bit of colour. Same with a cloth runway or a cloth banner on the floor. Just introduce a bit of colour if you need it, and just play with colour theory and what works. So yeah.
Well, I think this will be one of those situations where I get it submitted for my deadline and then maybe take another week or another 2 weeks just to really kind of push it, get it to where it needs to be before uploading onto an ArtStation piece. So yeah, all of that's been invaluable info there, Josh. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you've done for me today. So yeah, any
No
final
worries.
thoughts?
Obviously, just I'd say for anyone who struggles or just comes to end of the project, you feel a bit burnt out. reach out to other people. So you don't have to, after you hand something in or publish it, you don't have to jump back into it next week. It's perfectly fine to have, 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks, maybe longer if life's busy, and just set the time out. I've done it before, and you might, have some ideas on a night. I guess kind of like writer's block where you need a bit of time out, and then on a weekend or a week off, just when you get your fresh ideas or you thought about, oh crap, why didn't I do this? That sort of thing. Go back in when you're ready. It doesn't always have to be a rush. So yeah, just go back when you're ready. Just don't forget about stuff. Just make sure to push it, push it, push it, and only post it when it's ready. Get your feedback. Ask the professionals before you do, your final sub or your final upload again when you think it's professional ready. Just get final feedback from tutors, professionals, friends, whatever. Ideally artistic 3D friends. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me.
Okay, all right, amazing. Thank you so much.